This video, we're going to talk about the power of asking. There's a saying that says, if you don't ask, you don't get. So what I'm going to share with you is 5 tips to get what you ask for. Number 1 is to make sure that, again, if you don't ask, you don't get. I first learned this strategy in property. A lot of the properties I bought, I built a multi-million-pound property portfolio. And how I did that was just by asking for a discount. A lot of people, when they speak on the phone, I mean, for example, if a property is worth 250,000, I'll buy it for 200,000. I get a 50,000 pound discount. How? Just by asking. Now, of course, you may think, John, is that a bit of a cheeky offer? Well, yeah, it is a bit of a cheeky offer, but you gotta, do it with elegance. You gotta do it. For example, I'll say to people, you have 2 choices. You can either sell your property through an estate agent, which is great, and you'll get more money for it, or I can buy it with you from cash. But if I buy it with cash, I'll have to buy it at a discount to the market. So what would you like to do? And they'll either say, I'll go with an agent, which is fine, or they'll say to me, well, how much is the discount? It's typically 20% below the market value. So as long as you're making money and it's a win-win-win, then let's talk about it. Obviously, 80% of people will say no, but guess what? 20% of people say yes. And that's where I make my margins. That's where I do my deals. That's how every single property I've ever bought, I've always bought a discount to the market. A lot of people are too scared to ask, but what's the worst that can happen? To put the phone down on you. So what? It hasn't cost you anything financially. That's just an example in property. I do this with all my different businesses. So just ask. The second thing that's really powerful when it comes to getting what you want is to make sure that you're asking intelligent questions. You've probably heard the saying, if you ask a dumb question, you get a dumb answer. If you ask an intelligent question, you get an intelligent answer. So whenever you're asking things, try and be specific. Now, a lot of people are very vague, but be specific. When you're asking for something, just say, look, I want to know about this, but I want to know about this. Like, the more specific you are with the question, the more detailed answer you're going to get. And this is the thing I always say this to people, is to make sure that you're always knowing what you want. Because when you know what you want, you put the frequency out there, and then your brain will come up with different questions. I'll give you an example. When I first started off in the self-help industry, when I started to learn about self-development, there's schooling and then there's education. A lot of people's schooling stops at university. They don't continue the education throughout the entire adult life, and I think you should. When I first started off, educating myself, if you've ever read my Forbes article, so I was recently featured in Forbes. You can go to Google, just type in John Lee Forbes, and you can read my feature. But in that article, I talk about, one of the first things I had to do, I had to find a mentor, right? And the mentor wanted £10,000 for 2 days for consultation. That's how much it cost to hire him. I didn't have the money, so I started writing down questions. And you might want to try this. If you ever want to raise money, just start with 200 ways to raise money, and you start writing it down. So I started writing down things like get another job, work more, borrow money, put money on a credit card, try and speak to a friend and raise money, get a loan. So I started writing all this stuff down, and I got down to things like I was 16 or 17, which is sell my car. And that's what I did. I sold my car, and guess what? I've sold 15 grand. I paid him £10,000 for 2 days of his coaching, and now I own a multi-million-pound property portfolio. Was it a good investment? Of course it was, but I wouldn't have figured out how to do that if I hadn't have written that stuff down. So make sure you do that little exercise. And number 3 is asking the right question. So I'll tell you a little story. So I love to negotiate. So many years ago when I went shopping, just for fun, I like to test this stuff out. I was buying all these, these Calvin Klein boxing shorts, right? Now there must have been like 20 or 30 of these underwear. And when I went to the till, I said to them, what sort of discount do I get? And they said, what do you mean? Well, I'm buying 30 pairs, so, surely there must be a discount. Oh, well, they're already discounted. Okay. Do I get a volume discount because I'm buying more? Nope, sir, the price is what they are. We don't have any discounts. I said, okay, well, what discounts do you have? And she said, well, I guess the only one we have is our staff discount. I said, well, that'll do. She said, okay, boom, I got another 10% off. Now, I tell you that as a little story I did many years ago, because again, it's about asking you shall receive. So these are little things that you can do, but you want to be really specific. So for example, if something's impossible, a good way I get at this by asking the right question is like, how? Whenever my team say to me, oh, that can't be done, I say, well, if it could be done, how would you do it? And the brain will think of a different way to do it, right? It'll think of another scenario. So you must learn to think outside the box. Number 4 is, why is this so important by asking these questions? Why is it good for your business advancement? So let me give you an example. So many years ago, when I got into real estate, one of the things that you need is you need a mortgage and you need a deposit. So I kept asking myself the question, well, how can I start to invest in property without having to have a mortgage or without having to have a deposit? And it came up with this idea of, wow, well, if I don't use my own money, well, how else could I do it? So it started getting me thinking, again, like I said before, outside of the box, and I started coming up with, this concept of OPM, which stands for other people's money. I would have worked with somebody, like if I'm buying a property, I say, look, can you pay for the kitchen? Can you pay for the legal fees? Can you pay for this? And then start crowdfunding, like from partners or joint ventures, to start collaborating together. So when you start asking intelligent questions and you start asking asking the right questions, but you can also grow your business. For example, right now, let's say you're earning 100 grand. You would ask yourself the question, well, how do I earn 10 times that? How do I get to 1 million? And then your brain will come up with the answer. The problem is because you're not asking the right questions, especially with your business, right? If your business is stalled right now, okay, what else can I do to get me more business? Well, let's say you can't afford to spend money on marketing. How can I get more marketing without spending money? And your brain will think of ways to do it. Okay, number 5, and the last one is what type of questions can make you money? If you look at everything you do every single day, there's things that you do on a regular basis and there's things that you don't do on a regular basis. So what is it that you're doing or you're not doing that's not making you money or making you money? So for example, if you write down everything you did today, like got up in the morning, you had breakfast, you got on the train, you were surfing, you're watching videos on YouTube, you were wasting time on social media as a consumer, not as a creator. Like, what did you do with your time? So if you ask yourself a question, is what I do today making me closer or pulling me further away from my goal? The task that I'm doing right now is an income producing task, or is it not an income producing task? So watching Netflix for hours on end is not an income producing task. By the way, there's nothing wrong with Netflix. I watch Netflix, but it's the balance. Some people spend every day for 7 days watching Netflix, and that's all they do. Whereas you might work 5 days a week solid on your business, you spend a couple of hours on a weekend watching Netflix. Asking intelligent questions, specifically ones about making money. How can you monetize your skill? A colleague of mine that I was speaking to, he does Pilates, but guess what he's doing now? He's got a membership with 7,000 people that pay him £3 a month to be a part of his Pilates. So when lockdown happened, he said, well, how can I still make money because no one can come to my studio anymore? Or maybe I can do it online. So by asking those types of questions will produce more monetization. So I really hope that you like this. By the way, if you don't want to miss out on all the new videos, hit the subscribe button right now and turn on bell notifications, or hit the follow button depending where you're watching this or listening to this from. If it's a podcast, make sure you follow my podcast. If it's on Instagram, make sure you hit follow. And also what I like to do, hit the like button as well. So it will tell the algorithms that you want to see more of my content. And my question for all of you is, what questions do you ask on a regular basis to improve your life? Leave a comment below, or if there's no comments you listen on the podcast, make sure that you are finding out, screen grabbing this and then posting it on one of my social media so you can find that, and then you can sort of leave a comment in one of my posts on social media. So really hope you found this useful. I look forward to seeing you in the next session. It's John Lee, the author of Business Hack. Bye for now.